Hello. Let us give thanks to the Lord because today we are gathering together in His name in order to learn and practice um, our homework, right? And loyal to um, our goals to make a dream come true and having interest into help others in how to achieve, right? Let us not undertake, right, uh, with less grace than other place which is right now perhaps doing their best also into helping people, right, in many different ways. We are choosing in our Pentecostal way, right, by gathering in the happiness of knowing that the Holy Spirit came down after Jesus Christ's ascension. And following with that happiness, we're still working on, without stress, learning the language, right? Expecting everybody to do their homework, right? And it's not going to be really hard. But let us place ourselves in the hands of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit so we can be guided into how to use the knowledge that we have and the interest that we have in order to learn the language. These are more like the homeworks for the chapters, the latest chapters 6 and 7. We should be able to already know, right? And as we've been learning and doing homework very close by reading the Bible, we believe that we can be able to understand the words we are talking, right? So today we're gonna talk in regards of strength, right? We find in Psalms 46:1 that it says, God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. And also we have in Psalms 59:16, I will sing of your strength. In the morning I will sing of your love. For you are my fortress, my refuge in times of trouble, right? And we find also in Isaiah 40:27-31, right? Why do you say, O Jacob, and complain, O Israel? My ways is hidden from the Lord. My cause is disregarded by my God. Do you not know? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. He will not grow he will not grow tired or weary, and his understanding no one can um, fathom. He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. Even youths grow tired and weary, and young men stumble and fall. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. Isaiah 40:27-31. This is a really nice way of reviewing, right? The for this homework. Um, I know 2 or 3 people who said, "Well, the Lord is my strength, right? What else can I expect? What else can I ask?" There is really not much to we can develop, right? Because the Lord is providing everything. But at times when we find ourselves, right, in the situation, right, where we're looking for to sustain when we find out, which I know two or three people who are all the time, right, complaining that they heard that the relatives came over saying that they're not very happy with them. And I know another two or three people who have crying, right, because the relatives have already been talking about a lot of things that are not truth, about things that they talk about whispering, and eventually the time passed by and they find out that everybody talks in regards of issues that were never truth, and that people is talking like if the person never made any effort to survive, like if the person never made an effort to succeed in life, like if people was not like a role model even for the old people, for elders in the family. And that's something really sad, right? And I know another two or three people who come over talking, right, really disappointed and really upset. And that's when we see from where people is gonna get material to come down, right, and to just let go when they have been helping those relatives, when they have been investing their finances for those relatives, when they have already put their savings for those relatives, and eventually those relatives insist that the person is not the person or the kind of person they are looking forward to in order to see the benefits of having them as a family member, right? Those all those people, and I'm not gonna we don't have time to mention all the illness, all the social illness, all the social crimes, whether if it's because the blood is not the same. Back in the old days, and we're not really far away from, right, in these countries that are very young, we have unfortunately the sad story of knowing, right, like in the south side of the USA, that all the native Indians land were sold out by the French to the English, leaving the Indians or the Native Americans helpless with no way to make it. A lot of people will say it wasn't really a lot of difference because the only thing that it happens is that the line was just drawn, and everybody had their land, and everybody had their you know, and everybody had their houses, and everybody had you name it, everything was the same. The only thing that it happens is that the little line was drawn and everybody was very happy. From there, we have the problem that the people living, because the city, downtown city of one of the cities in the south side was split. Downtown was split in half, which means that the river split the market right downtown. And when the line came through, half of downtown from that city it ended up in one side, and half of downtown on the other city ended up on the other side, right? Which it means that by crossing to go from one side to the other side, it takes like a minute and a half or maybe 2 minutes, right? And the only thing you have to do is just to raise your hand and say, I'm a U.S. citizen, right? Or I'm a just, you know, a relative or one of my moms who live on the other side, and I just you forgot. I thought I had my wallet. I don't have any ways of communicating with it. And it takes like maybe 5 or 6 hours to get you in back in home, because this happened lately, right? Because in the old days, the only thing you have to do is just to smile and they ask you where you're going and you say, I'm going home, right? Because all the people who work in the borders knew you and they were going to your home and you have dinners and they knew your parents and everybody knew each other. But as the time passed by and these people retired and we had people from other countries which they had to show passports or other kind of credentials in order to identify themselves, they started asking for different kind of documents, right? And I mentioned this because to go back from one side to the other one is not as easy as it used to be. As it's not easy to be a child and remembering a childhood with all the people in the family when we didn't have much responsibilities or somebody with another families looking to have the best they can to serve their relatives, right? Because it looks like sometimes when people are not very well educated, it have a tendency to pull the attention from everybody's in order to bring not just the attention but the money and things around so they can have presents and so you get to know that they're so beautiful, right? And it's just something that people cannot take out or take off from their minds, right? These are social illnesses, right? As good as one family than the other one. As good are some of the rights of one family than the other ones. As good is to recognize that you were not strong enough and you did not have strength to understand the truth. That you were not strong enough, that you did not train yourself to stand up for what it is. Where people cannot find this kind of strength, which be holding them in the right place to sustain the truth, it means that they've been victim of sexual violence, that they've been victim of all kinds of social illnesses that we don't have time to name all of them, right? They've been beaten, they've been wronged, they've been beaten physically, mentally, spiritually. They've been challenged in their truth, in their moral values, that somebody along the way exchanged a lie for the truth. And that's how, when it happens in a repetitious way, people lost conscience. People lost their moral values. People lost the sense of strength. The strength comes when you clear, when you go and make things new again, when you go and talk to the person who's making things up about you. A lot of ladies said, well, I have my husband has been with me for I don't know how many years, right? I don't know how many years. And I have already raised my hand and said that I promise to be faithful in the goods and in the bads, and that I will do as I can, as much as I can, in order to help the men. But it happens that the ladies have already wronged all the neighborhood because the husband has to be right. Because the husband went in all the houses to find out if something from each one of those houses was good for him to serve himself with, right? And it happens that he has sent the wife in order to find out, right, how many things from those places could be good for them, for the children, for the house, for the future. And knowing that people cannot have a solicitation around neighborhoods, they still push themselves to the limits when the neighbors were not able to tolerate them, and now they have charges, they have misdemeanors, they have uh, actually intentions of commit crimes of a killing. You know, one of those things when people tell the other neighbor, "Don't you know me for a long time? Why don't you feel comfortable if I come to your house? It doesn't make it. I mean, I'm not gonna do anything to you, right?" That's what people usually say. And when the other person knows well that things like this cannot happen because everybody has to have privacy, everybody needs to stay at home to prepare their meals, to go and do the laundry, to get out from the house. And it happens that when the neighbors come in, eventually some of the people are just walking around chasing at things when things like this shouldn't happen because all the material things around the house one day are going to be finished, one day are going to end up in rags and just little objects with no value, without a leg, furniture, couches, everything just gets destroyed. So what is the point of some people looking for in some other kind of places in another houses, or just to find out if one husband has another better job, right? For sometimes just to go and find out where one of the husbands work, to go and steal the better job, and so they can just go and get the job from the other ladies and things like those. For that's the reason that we have a very strict law where it says no solicitation, and it doesn't matter if it's the neighbor who was growing with the other neighbor, right? In order to keep the order, in order to keep strong families, and that way people don't have to waste and lose the things that it really costs a lot of training, right? And so these ladies eventually talk, and how do you get upset if we are from the same church, if we are church is one of the places where people are abused, where people don't have conscience and they go and walk in the church to really do whatever it pleases them, to go and believe that they don't have any blessings from the Lord, or any kind of strength to stand up and tell the people, I already know why you're coming up to me. I already know what is it, what you want to look in me. I know what you want to get from me, right? But since we are the children of the Lord, and the Lord has to do his work with the people walking in the church, people is not going to stand up and tell them, I know what you're up. I know what you want from me. And I know what you're coming over for. And I have to be careful, right? People is not going to say anything, but people have that in mind. But people is very careful because the Holy Spirit talks to the heart, right? And this people is strong, and that's how the church is stand up with all his people, with all its people, in order to keep on praying, in order to keep on praising, in order to keep putting hands on people in need, because that's how the strength grows in one of the people who comes in, because when people gathers together, there is more help than just one person. And a lot of people really gets really anxious and depressed, and up to the point that they really want to kill the other person because they have no strength to understand, because they don't have understanding, they don't have strength taking and accepting the truth and the facts that something along the way was wrong. And a lot of people believe, especially when they quit the church, when they quit Christian people, when they eventually get tired of this and that, or whatever the reason, right? Because the mental illness got into their family. So because they walk around with people with no business whatsoever with the Lord, and their ideas are not too, they're not too different either, right? Because people knows who Jesus Christ. Everybody knows who Jesus Christ. Everybody knows that there's a holy word. Everybody knows the importance to go to church and just gather together with some people. And it's really smart to go and hang around people because that's how you get your references for a work, for a job, to start entrepreneurship, to show the kind of work that you have, to train others in the expertise you have. And that's the idea the Lord created, right? To people, right? To different persons in order to um, uh, uh, train one the other one, right? And see the benefits of having people training each other in order to make themselves powerful, right? Strong, right? To create all these ties in regards of the strength that it ought to have, that we all supposed to have along our lives, right? And this is something very interesting that it is worth it to try, right? To go into the Holy Scriptures and find out how many things and how can you cure this lack of strength? How can you find a path to be strong? What is it? What it happens to you that you cannot stand up for what it is? Why do you have to make up so much? Why do you have to build up so many stories when the truth is that the truth is just what it is, and we cannot cover the sun with only one finger, and it's just right there, and we feel the heat, and it's just right there, and we can see everything, and it's just for everybody. It's for the good people and for the bad people. And let us just dismiss right here and ask the Lord to give us the opportunity to learn the strength that we need in order to keep the things clear, in order to keep ourselves free from all kinds of lie debris, from all kinds of debris of made up or making things up, of all kinds of debris of lies, of all kinds of debris of manipulating lives, and all kinds of things that only the Lord is able to put or to take, right? Because everything happens by the hand of the Lord. And let us just dismiss right here in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And let us gather together some other time with some other issues that are very important. The Lord bless you.